Good afternoon. You are listening to Max Rushton and Charlie Baker on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Gear up for those darker nights with electrical and lighting offers. Next up, Toolstation. Let's talk to Kweku Afari, Chelsea fan, talkSPORT's very own. Hey, Kweku.
Hello, Kweku.
How you guys getting on?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Very good.
Really
I mean,
good.
totally unsurprised that Chelsea sat the manager. I wonder, as a Chelsea fan, because you do it all the time and you win trophies, does it bother any Chelsea fans? I mean, you have to have an opinion on your club, but it's so anathema to the way everybody talks about football, what Chelsea do.
Yeah, it's a difficult one as a Chelsea fan because I think other clubs are built in different images, right? You look at Liverpool and in terms of their long-term managers in the past, never having sacked a manager that's won the league. You look at Manchester United, had Alex Ferguson for all those years. Arsenal, who had Arsene Wenger for all those years. Those clubs and those fan bases are used to tenured managers and they're almost looking for them. Hence why there's still support from some Man United fans for Ruben Amorim. They want to find a guy that's going to be there for 10, 15 years. Whereas Chelsea fans are more used to the chopping and changing, a kind of regime brought about by Roman Abramovich. And so for Chelsea fans, we are a little bit numb to it. This does feel slightly different though, because like I mentioned, all those clubs and all those fan bases, they've had issues with their owners historically. If you think about the Glazer out protests, you think about Arsenal's previous issues with the Cronkies before they had an upturn in form. Think about FSG out with Liverpool. Chelsea fans were probably the only fan base of a top team in the country that loved their owner, Roman Abramovich. We all know about the reason why he had to sell the club, and for good reason. But Chelsea fans are in an unfamiliar position right now where there are going to be protests later on in January against this board. And that's why I think Chelsea fans are in unfamiliar territory. The fact that there is not one Chelsea fan that I've talked to that's on board with this current regime in terms of what Blue Co are doing to the club and how they're running the football club.
Do you think
right, and what is it specifically they don't like? So I was going to say, what do they specifically not like? Because they've spent 1.6 billion on players
and won some trophies.
Yeah, so it's the approach, right? It's the P word, project, and we understand that it has to be given time. A lot of times there's not instant gratification, not instant success, but unfortunately that's how Chelsea have been built. Chelsea have had instant success. Think about Chelsea's trophy history, winning the Champions League. That was instant success in 2012, like bringing in Roberto Di Matteo to replace AVB, winning the Champions League in 2021, bringing in Thomas Tuchel to replace Frank Lampard. Chelsea fans are used to instant success. Not saying that it's the most healthy kind of way to view football, but the problem Chelsea fans have got is that they feel like they've been given false promises. Oh, wait until these players develop and become a group of young, exciting players that can go and challenge for league titles. We all saw the glaring gaps in Chelsea's squad at the beginning of the season. Everyone could have named it to a man. It was a goalkeeper and a centre-back, and those issues weren't addressed. And instead, we bring in a multitude of wingers that we're told in 2 or 3 years' time they're going to be great players. But in terms of building an actual squad that's ready to compete here and now, the owners haven't done that for Chelsea, and that's why fans are frustrated.
I mean, the things that Maresca they have said has done, which is sort of go and speak to other clubs. I mean, this is what Chelsea have intimated that they've done. Right? He's done is go and speak to other clubs while he's the manager of the club. He picked players that he was told not to because they weren't fit. These are all things that Chelsea Football Club have said that Maresca did. Also, fans weren't loving the football. You weren't loving the football, were you, Kweku? I know Andy Jacobs wasn't loving the football. There are 2 Chelsea fans that I know. And for that, I know he won 2 trophies, but for that, you do sort of go, well, then he's not going to be Chelsea manager then, is he? So this doesn't feel like a shock decision.
It doesn't feel like a shock decision. There's a PR battle being played right now. In terms of Maresca coming out after the win against Everton a few weeks ago and coming out and saying that the 48 hours leading to that game was the worst he's had in terms of his time at the football club, their PR battle started then. And what he successfully did, Maresca, is within those kind of 2 or 3 weeks between the Everton game and where we're at right now, Chelsea fans start to turn in terms of their opinion of Maresca, in terms of him actually speaking out about how he's feeling and about how Chelsea fans are feeling as well. And when he was asked about it in terms of nailing down who he's talking about, he made a clear point of saying it's not about the fans. I love the fans. And that I definitely felt was the turning point between Maresca and the Chelsea fans. And so when the news came through the other day about him being sacked, there were Chelsea fans that were fuming. Of course, there's been ups and downs. People haven't been enamored by the football. But in terms of the remit that Enzo Maresca was given, last season qualifying for the Champions League, check. Win the Conference League, of course, that's almost done by default in terms of the strength of Chelsea's team. And also win the Club World Cup in incredible fashion. He has hit every kind of metric that he was supposed to hit. And look at what the squad he's been given in terms of, he mentioned at the beginning of the season when Levi Colwill went down with ACL injury, he said, we need a centre-back. The briefing from the club about a week later was like, we're not bringing anybody in. And you wonder why Chelsea are struggling. I think the PR battle's been going on from the beginning of the season till now, and I think Maresca's winning it.
Do you think that Chelsea fans would like, because Maresca, by all accounts, didn't like the fact that he didn't have as much control as he wanted, and the fact that other people were, you know, on the coaching, you know, on in the training ground, in the dressing room, even, you know, but you never hear from any of them. Like, would you like a big press conference with everybody, you know, sporting director, owner, you know, the medical staff saying this is why, you know, Reece James can't play this game or whatever? Like, would that, because at the end of the day, Maresca's the only person that's ever put in front of a microphone.
I think it'd be hypocritical for me to ask for that now when my previous stance was owners, the hierarchy of football clubs, they're custodians of the football club, and they should essentially shut up and put their money up and deal with things behind the scenes. I don't want to hear from my owner. I don't want to hear from the sporting directors. That's not necessarily their job. I feel like Jim Ratcliffe coming out and speaking so publicly sometimes undermines the manager, sometimes cause a more confusing situation. And so I don't necessarily want to hear from McBarley or Win Stanley or Stewart. I don't want to hear from those guys. I just want to see improvements in terms of our recruitment process, and that's not happening. And that's the frustrating part for a Chelsea fan.
Yes, I mean, I suppose you don't want them to come out and say things that Jim Ratcliffe says, but that's, you know, that's like, you want to hear them say things that sound good, right? I mean, that's slightly different.
Don't say the terrible things. Yeah, no, you're right.
That's a really interesting point. Liam Rosenior then is, you know, he obviously, it will be interesting to see if Bluco-owned Chelsea can prize him away from Bluco-owned Strasbourg, but I think he's a brilliant coach. I think he's a really well-spoken guy. I'd love to see him, you know, manage at this level. And like me and Charlie were saying, like, he can't really say no. Like, he's in the same ownership model. Like, what can he do? But do you think it's a good appointment because you have an inexperienced squad and an inexperienced manager? That's a tricky, you know, that will obviously be thrown at Chelsea whenever they don't win a football match.
Yeah, I don't know if he would be the right man for the job. I want him to succeed. Having worked with him briefly, I really like the cut of his jib. I like the way that he talks, and he's very considered, and he's doing a very good job at Strasbourg. But the pressures that come at Strasbourg is very different to pressures that come at a club like Chelsea. And the ownership group, I think Chelsea fans thought this is a new dawn, a new age, this ownership group. They've been more ruthless than Roman Abramovich. They've got through more managers in their first 3 or 4 years of the football club than Abramovich did. And they've had every type of manager, whether they inherited Thomas Tuchel, I wouldn't necessarily call him a mercenary, but that kind of manager from that kind of cloth, they've tried that, didn't work. Graham Potter, the English kind of young tactician, it didn't work. Pochettino, again, it was sacrilege bringing in a former Spurs manager, but it didn't work. Then Enzo Maresca, who's viewed initially as a bit of a yes man, that the board's man, a young manager that's trying to cut his teeth at the top level of football, and it hasn't worked. And so I just don't know whether Liam Rosenior will be given the tools at Chelsea to succeed. I really hope that he does.
Maybe he's played the game well, Kweku. Maybe he's playing at Strasbourg and known that that's the ownership model, and so he's played the game well and knows that that's how they like to work. He's their man. You know, they're business people at the end of the day. They work with business heads. They work with money heads. 100%. It's different to creative and sports people. They're business people, so they push money around in different ways. This is their current way.
Yeah, this is their current way, and that's. It seems so anti-football to talk about stuff like that. I hate that we talk about balance sheets. I hate that we have to talk about FFP. I hate the fact that we have to almost be qualified or chartered accountants to talk about football these days. But that's what these people are. They are investors, and it feels like Chelsea is just part of their portfolio. And that, for all the faults of Roman Abramovich, and we don't need to get into them now, it was a passion project for him. Chelsea being successful, it seemed like that was paramount to him in terms of he wouldn't care how much money he put into the club as long as Chelsea had the best in class every year and were competing for the biggest trophies every year. Back on Liam Rosenior, I definitely think he's played the game well in terms of, in his wildest dreams, when he took the Strasbourg job, he probably thought, I might be able to get the Chelsea job at some point in my career. Again, a lot of things have to fall in place, and these things have fallen into place right now. And all I'd say is good luck to him. Good luck to him. And good luck to anybody who takes the Chelsea job, because this ownership group has shown us that they are ruthless and more ruthless than our previous regime. And it's very tough to succeed in what is a very competitive Premier League.
Thank you, Kweku. Thanks for coming on, pal.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Kweku.
Kweku Afari there. It is Max Josh and Charlie Baker on talkSPORT. After the break, we'll be doing an hour on how to become a chartered accountant.